Now we're going to discuss about improvisation, dubbing, and historical speech or period speech. So first, improvisation is a form of live theater in which the plot, characters, and dialogue of a game, scene, or story are made up in the moment. Oftentimes, improvisers will take a suggestion from the audience or draw on some other source of inspiration to get started. So usually, sa improvisation, yung mga tao ay bumibase sa environment nila and sa mga nangyayari sa paligid to have their unique plot and sequence. Ayun nga, isa sa mga characteristics nito ay pagiging unique. So, every scene or every story is different from one another. Next, it is spontaneous and entertaining and fun. Spontaneous, so it is always spontaneous. So, palaging may bago, palaging kakaiba. Then, because it is a form of live theater, of course, it is entertaining and usually fun. Improvised scenes are usually made up and nagiging funny. What are those importance of improvisation? So, first importance is listening. So, nakakatulong to help the characters and to help the characters of each scene to have a better listening skill and be attentive in many ways. So, para makakope up sila sa mga susunod pang scenes or susunod pang mga plots ng story. Next, concentration skills. So, usually, performers and actors and actresses concentrate not just only on the skits or the plot. Usually, they also concerns with the environments and the surroundings so they can cope up with the next uh, plots that may happen. Next, think on their feet. So they usually have sympathize and empathize the characters' emotions, feelings, for them to have a better compensation and um, to easily catch up with something new and something better for the whole story. So it also helps the characters improve his or her skills. So actually, some perform nurses, doctors, teachers. So probably by doing that or as their character, it helps them improve and practice their skills even though they are not on the real situation. So there are five basic improvisation skills or rules. So first thing is don't deny. Deny is the number one reason most scenes go bad. So anytimes use or you refuse an offer to made by your partner or scene will almost instantly come in grinding halt. So eventually if denials being prioritized or being shown in the improvisation. So usually the scene goes dead or goes getting lame. So for example, hi, my name is Jim. Welcome to my store. Then player B will say that it is not a store, it is an airplane, or you're not Jim and you're an antelope. So something like that. So we shouldn't do those kinds of things in improvisation. Next, don't ask open-ended questions. Open-ended questions like who are you? Are since killers because they force their partners to stop whatever they are doing and come up with an answer. So when you ask your partner an open-ended question, you put the burden of coming up with something interesting on your partner. So you're no longer doing interesting things on the scenes together with your partner, but you're giving the burden to your partner to do a better job on the skit. Next, you don't have to be funny. So, improvisation in theater don't have to be funny. Funny always because it should be interesting than something to be fun of. So when you are do an interesting scene, a very surprising thing happens. Out the funny comes out all by itself. So the next rule is number 4, you can look good if you can make your partner look good. So when you're in a scene, the better you make your partner look, the better the scene is going to be. So we can in improvisation we always have to do teamwork and not think selfishly to have a better image on the audience. So we always have to be collaborated with our partner. So rule number 5 is tell a story. Storytelling is probably the easiest rule to remember, but the hardest one to do. The real magic of improvisation is when we see the players take totally random suggestions, like a plumber and a cab driver selling shoes in a leper colony. So and somehow make it work. If all these unrelated elements are going to come together, then it's going to happen. In the course of interesting tale. So we always, yun nga, sabi ko kanina, it is always have to be interesting. So your audience will not or your audience will not lose interest and continue watching you on what you are doing. So that's just what players are going to try and do. Parang it will always just tell the story and not imply that play. So those are the 5 basic rules of improvisation. So the next topic that we're going to talk about is the period speech or historical languages. So historical languages are languages that were spoken in a historical period but that are distinct from their modern form. So um kagaya na lang ng English natin ngayon, meron tayong Old English na tinatawag. So, that is, they are forms of languages historically attested from the past which have evolved into more modern forms. So, thus historical languages contrast with dead languages. So, dead languages are languages that have become extinct and eventually undergone. So, language death yung tawag. So, also, historical languages contrast with reconstructed languages. So, reconstructed languages are the proto-languages. So, later we will going to talk about that. Or theoretical languages. So, language changed as the time passed by for the the speakers cope up with their needs and cope up with their generations, especially on our generation today. Makita naman natin na nagkakaroon na tayo ng mga iba't ibang languages such as Gaelingo. Now, let's talk about classical language. So, classical language, it is an ancient or old languages with a rich body of literature in that language. So classical literature usually deals or can be seen in a classical novel or classical write-ups before. Next is the historical linguistics. So also called as diachronic linguistics, the study of language change. So historical linguistics are um, are the one that studies how and why the language is changed from time to time. So next, the language code. Language code. For a general discussion of language codes, together with this, the explanation, the laws, and the rules are being implied. Next, list of languages by first written accounts. So consisting of an approximate dates for first written accounts known for various languages. So for example, dito sa Philippines meron tayong the Laguna Copper Plate which enriches our history that serves as a proof na we have a certain language used before and a certain um, symbols that we are used. So it depicts that our history and our culture is rich as before the colonizers go in our land. So it is something like that. Next is list of extinct languages. So kasama sa mga pinag-aaralan dito ay list of yung mga extinct languages and how it is going to be preserved or why it is being extinct. So a list of language that are no longer have any native speakers because they have no current use or no descendants that are spoken that because no descendants are spoke that is using the language. So the proto language or hypothetical language or the reconstructed languages, which languages from which a number of history attested or document known language are hypothetically descended. So next, the chronolect. It is a specific language variety whose characteristics are in particular determined by time release factors, such as it can be contrasted with sociolect and ethnolect or a geolect. So, chronolect is a variety of speech or variety of language with its characteristics according to its social culture, based on its ethnic factor, so on how the language is used, and the geological factor of that specific speaker or language. So usually in theater or in a movie, we do dubbing or placing the original dialogue into the original dialogue in a very recorded way or a very um, scripted manner. So according to our source, so dubbing is an art of replacing original dialogue in a movie with localized recording. So it is put into even simpler words that the listener or the reader or the listener or the viewers can relate and easily be understood. So there are factors to consider when dubbing. First is script translation. So translation. Everything starts with translation from the original script to specific language. Production companies send out the transcripts to recording studios where creative team translate all the dialogue. It is not easy task uh, because it do a lot of jokes in the references because we have different markets and different audiences. So production team tries to analyze it and make suggestions for the best way to translate uh, for the better dubbing. So next is the voice casting. When the script is final, casting uh, comes next. So in countries with established dubbing scene, star talents have been playing the same actors for years. So for example, the Spanish or French voice talent can play Bruce Willis in every movie he has ever done. So voice acting is a good way to make money as there are plenty opportunities in dubbing. Not only in movies but also in books, games, and commercials. Check freelance sites like Fever or Fever, for example. So also, if you're get recognized as the dub voice or of a well-known actor, you can have a long and steady career. Well, as long as the other person is doing well too. You, we can always make money by doing better things or better thing like dubbing in this industry. So next factor that can be considered is voice actor recording. So after the casting is done and the translation is done, the casting is done. Next thing to do is the voice actor recording. So after casting, yun nga, a creative director schedules several recording sessions for the voice actors. During these sessions, the actor, under the guidance of the director, will record his or her line while watching the screen. So, for the better understanding or for the better comprehension that the viewers can view, so there will be television or a monitor for them to see the real scenario uh while dubbing and having that script. So the idea is to mimic as close as possible the original reactions and styles of the movie character. So this process can take a long time as it usually occurs I mean the same time as the original dialogue is still in work. So it means that some lines will change. It is a lively and organic process. So as we have seen on Korean dramas or Chinese movies, so we always see that the English dub is um as exact as how the foreign languages is being said. So next, after those procedures. Next is the dub mixing. Next, dub mixing. After the sound engineer records the dialogue, a creative team will listen to the creative team will listen to them, and dialogue editor will edit and clean the lines. So the job of dialogue editor is to prepare the recording session for the dubbing mixer. So when the session is ready, a mixer loads it up in a mixing theater, a special room that replicates the acoustics of cinema. The job of a mixer is to take the original music and effects from the movie. So, akala natin kasi kapag nagdadub yung salita lang. So, as we all know and now we are talking about that. So, even the sound and the effects will be dubbed as it is the original one. So the process is quite complicated and dialogues must be at good volume level. So it is one of the greatest thing to consider is the volume nga. So kung sinong mas malakas o kung anong dapat mas mahina. But what happens when the characters are underwater, behind the door, or maybe they are from another planet? So you will have to process all the recordings so they resemble as close as possible. The original mix of the movie, a team of editors checks the sound mix several times to spot any potential errors. So, na para silang nagkakaroon ng dry run or rewatching of that movie kasama yung dub. So, ma-assess or makita kung ano pa yung mga errors. As mixer, will correct them before the movie release. So, yun nga, because it proceeds processes, so before it will be released in the public or in the market or yun nga, in the internet or in any platform, it should be corrected many times and kailangan talaga nasasala kasi syempre it will be unnecessary to have a error in dubbing, then it may be sort of funny in the viewer's point of view. Dubbing is an important side to the industry as international box office usually makes more money than domestic release. So, the next time you're watching a movie on a DVD, check the back of the box. There are always few foreign language, foreign mixes included in the film. Switch them and listen how close and accurate the dubbing is. So, the author of this article is expecting us to be surprised for how perfect dubbing is compared to how it is acted with the original languages used by the actors.
Zoom, zoom,
Zoom, zoom,
zoom, zoom, zoom,
zoom,
zoom, zoom,
zoom, zoom,
zoom, zoom, zoom,
zoom,
zoom, zoom,
zoom.
zoom.
Apple,
Banana, orange,
pineapple,
smile, tooth, berry,
wings,
angel, fact,
yellow,
freeze, Jenna,
freeze, Carl,
freeze, Aaron,
freeze, Katie,
freeze, Kai, freeze,
Knight. Mount. Cavalier. Mount. Knight. Cavalier. Mount. Knight. Cavalier.
Five things. Five things. Five things. Five things. Five things.
Dogs. Irish Wolfhound.
One.
Golden Retriever.
Two.
Chihuahua.
Three.
Yorkshire Terrier.
Four.
And a Beagle.
Five.
Five
things. Five things. Five things. Five things. Five things.
5 pieces of furniture.
Couch.
One.
Chair.
2.
Ottoman.
3.
Chaiselong.
4.
Lamp.
5.
Five things. Five things. Five things. Five things. Five things.
Wiggle, wiggle.
Like.
Na-imagine mo na ba ang mundo na walang boses? Paano kung walang boses yung mga napapanood mo sa TV? Paano kung hindi nagsasalita yung mga karakter sa cartoons? Kapag nanonood ka ng mga dinab na anime,
Tapos ka na ngayon! Mga bata. Salamat, Gohan, anak.
isip mo ba kung sino yung nagsasalita? Tara, kilalanin natin kung sino ang nasa likod ng mga naririnig nating boses.
Tapos ka na ngayon! Isa pang Thunderbolt! Pikachu, kaya mo yan. Alam kong pagod ka na, pero kailangan mo pa rin lumaban. Sige pa! Thunderbolt attack!
Nakita mo ba si Nobita?
Ay, ako nga pala si Doraemon. Hindi naman ang hokya mo dyan, oh.
Salamat, Gohan, anak. Sawang-sawa na ako sa ganito. Akala niyo ba natutuwa ako sa ginagawa niyo? Napapabayaan ni Gohan ang pag-aaral niya para masanay lang kasama ang Piccolo na yan. Kaya dapat bukas na bukas din, pumunta kayo sa driving school at mag-aral kayo magmaneho. Maliwanag ba?
Ako si Mr. Pogi. Ako lang yun. Goku, ako ang pinakamagaling na martial artist. Ako pa rin ang champion. Wala, ulis na tayo. Baka mahuli tayo dito, dali. Natatakot na ako eh. Let's go, bro.
Kung mga bata, kaya huwag kayo mawawala. Hanggang sa susunod nating pagkikita, paalam, kame, hame, way!
Ay, hindi ko pumasok sa clubhouse ko. Ako nga pala si Mickey Mouse.
Lenin, tignan mo! Ang dami magaganda at sexing babae!
Wala na yatang masuhusay pa sa akin sa pagtugtog ng clarinet. Hoy Patrick, ano ginagawa mo dito sa bahay ko?
More on this